What's up? What's up? Welcome to Painter Gain. We have our special guest, Sarah, here.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself to our lovely fan base?
Yes. Thank you. I'm a special guest, Sarah, filling in for Frankie. I know, or Timo. Oops, my bad. Um, he's having a great time at UDC. Wish I was there, but about to have way more fun with Dr. T here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we do have some fun today. We're gonna have some diabetes talk too.
Yeah.
We'll have some fun stuff with that. And we got some whatever questions you guys got flowing in. We got some topics ready to go, but hit us with those so we can answer what you guys want to hear. So that'd be awesome.
Remind us, first of all, what is your.
Oh, my name's Dr. T. I'm a licensed doctor of physical therapy. Coming to you live.
Totally. I just want them to know what type of questions that they're going to be
Oh
throwing
yeah.
your way, right?
Ask most medical things. I'll be able to answer it. And if I don't, I'll say, you know what, honestly, don't know. Might be able to help guide you to where you can find that information or tell you to who to go for that information if I don't know. But I love saying I don't know, and it always depends. Give us a little bit of what's going on with you. Where are you from? What brings you here?
I am from the fabulous East Bay of the Bay Area, small town that's made fun of in this room before, so I'm not going to mention it again. I forget what else you were about to ask me, but I guess.
Tell us about yourself.
Oh, sweet. A 20-something-year-old girl, gal, woman. I'm not really sure how I'd classify it.
You classify yourself.
Love it. I was gonna say, I'm also, I guess, having a stream as well for if you're interested in day trading of crypto futures. I'm there. I am here though today to speak about diabetes. I'm type 1 diabetic, and I was actually diagnosed right at my 9th birthday. Very great birthday, clearly. But so that's maybe 16, 17 years now. And
so for the viewers, what is type 1? What are the differences? What does that mean to them?
Totally. So whenever I tell people that I have diabetes, people immediately are like, oh, I know someone with diabetes. And typically most people do. But diabetes has been classified to two types, type 1 and type 2.
Correct.
I was going to say typically type 1 is known as juvenile diabetes, and type 2, I'm not sure what it's called as.
More referred to as like onset. Usually population of more, maybe not overweight, but more of the, poor diet, poor exercise, poor training, and it just kind of develops.
Totally. To be honest, that's why we have him here. My limited knowledge of type 2 is going to be sufficed with you. But for type 1, actually, I was reading that, funny enough, it's either 5 to 13% of people who have diabetes right now have type 1 in the United States. And even though it's called juvenile diabetes or referred to it as that unofficially, it's been found that you can actually be diagnosed in it later on into even adulthood.
I recently found that out. I had going through school. That was our whole thing. It was either it was juvenile diabetes, and it was usually before the ages of, I think 12, 13 was what they were telling us, and it was usually, all right, they got it, and if it comes on later, it's going to be type 2. What are the differences?
Totally. So the way, I guess one way to differentiate between the two is for type 1, the pancreas, basically the autoimmune, the insulin producing cells in your pancreas, basically, your immune system basically starts to kill them off, and can't differentiate between which ones are like insulin producing cells, like the good ones, and the bad ones, so just decimates them all. Am I wrong? Something about beta cells.
Yes, your beta cells in the pancreas can't differentiate. That's the difference between insulin resistant and insulin dependent, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Type 1 is generally they just don't make insulin, and type 2 is generally you've grown a resistance to it, and it's just not absorbed well enough into your body, I guess. It's just you just develop a resistance to it, and so you don't accept it as much as you should. What does insulin do?
Oh, insulin is basically the way that it was kind of like an analogy was like it works to break down glucose that's in your body to turn it into energy. So you do need it. Otherwise, there's sugar accumulating in your bloodstream. Am I wrong?
Correct. Needs to get filtered out. Needs to get accepted.
Yeah, and love that you're here because I'm clearly trying to like recall to all those diabetes education. I've clearly not held on to all the key important parts, but the key and lock mechanism that works with it, it turns it into usable energy. But if you are not able to get insulin, you can actually your blood starts to turn acidic.
So you get hyperglycemic.
Yeah.
And so you turn in, there's a bunch of other things you can go into, anything from, hyperglycemic tend to be, dry mouth, really thirsty.
Fruity breath sometimes.
Fruity breath, the hyperketoacidosis even onset, which is like, we don't need to go deeper into that.
Oh, no. But it's super bad in the short term sometimes, like feeling like
correct.
Or like, feel super fatigued, this unquenchable thirst. I was actually telling you earlier about Kendall Simmons, who used to play for the Steelers. He was actually diagnosed later on when he was going to his rookie training.
Right, so he's one of the late onset type 1s.
Yeah.
So complete rejection of insulin, basically.
Absolutely, and even the doctors at that point were also kind of hesitant to even diagnose him as type 1 because how often do you see like a 20-year-old, 21-year-old coming into your emergency room saying like with high blood sugar?
Right. And you were saying that there were stories of him like before training camp in the car just trying to down Gatorades, which was not good if your insulin was
totally.
By the way,
unquenchable thirst. I feel like it's like it's as if you walk through a desert and no water in sight. That's how it feels. Like no bottle of water can quench it. On the other hand, so I use insulin to basically, after I eat, I administer insulin through subcutaneously, just basically through into the fat cells, whether it be through an insulin injection, but I actually wear an insulin pump, which I'll talk about later, and that is how I regulate whatever I eat. What's cool about type 1 diabetes is that it was never caused by any lifestyle or dietary habits. It was just happened. And the way that, I guess, what I was told, that way to think of how type 2, on the other hand, which is a majority of the population, is like your pancreas was actually injured, whether that be from an unhealthy lifestyle or
correct.
So
that's how people usually tell what's going on, if someone's getting a lot of hyperglycemia or if you're getting hypoglycemic. Usually it's hyperglycemia because insulin helps get the sugar out of your bloodstream. So if you're getting these, I'm always thirsty, I'm always tired, blah, 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 like...
frequent urination.
Yes. Polyuria, polydipsia, and I read the other one, but polyuria, polydipsia is excessive drinking and excessive urination. Because you're trying to filter it out, but the insulin can't take the glucose out.
Exactly.
And so if you're seeing someone who's like relatively fit, thin, and they're coming in with that all the time, that's when they generally are like, well, you're going to have type 1.
I dropped, even though I was only 9 years old, like I dropped 8 pounds, and I wasn't, 8 pounds is a lot at that size, so.
Absolutely.
My mom's always know when something's off with you. Dad said I was fine. Dad was convinced that I was totally okay and that my mom was
Rub some dirt on it.
Exactly. It's like, just let her drink some water. She'll be good. But shout out to Mom for taking me to Oakland Children's Hospital. Right? Shout out to them. Now UCSF.
Resident. I've been to Oakland Children's. Let's go.
Loved the hospital. I think at first it was really hard to be diagnosed at that age, especially you don't know what it means.
As a kid too, like you're different. It's never really, not like it's not good to be different, but it's always like a change to know that you're different at such a young age.
Totally. And it's like you feel like you're going to be treated differently, whether it's from your peers, whether it's from your parents, right? Like or the thought of like, oh, well, parents want me to come over to my friend's house for a sleepover because now I feel like a liability, right? Like that's a thought.
They don't
that's
have to
going
monitor my glucose or give
Right.
me whatever.
Exactly.
So were you giving yourself insulin shots, or how did that work as a child? Like, what was the...
Totally. So at the time, I guess back way back when you'd have to do the finger pricks, so I was totally cool doing the finger pricks for...
Right, to check it.
Yeah, for the first 2 years, I just would not feel comfortable with giving myself an injection. Like, I was already one of those kids. Like, they had to hold me down to give me an IV, just to give you an idea of how fearful I was of needles. But after 2 years, I warmed up and I was able to give myself the shots. So, but those first 2 years, I did have to have my mom come wherever I was going. Could not go many places without like my parents at that point.
Right, you were worried if something were to happen.
Totally,
blah, blah.
totally. I guess we mentioned hyperglycemia. Just to give you the other hand, I guess hypoglycemia.
Right.
One way that I try to like explain it to people is like you've seen Paul Blart, the mall cop, when he's like basically getting candy off the floor. It's like you need sugar to raise your blood sugar back up. Sometimes you might miscalculate and give a little more insulin than you intended to, and my favorite thing is juice.
Yeah, orange juice. Orange
Love
juice,
it.
apple juice. They should always have that on hand. Any medical clinic you go to, they should have some sort of juice, cranberry juice. So if you do, for whatever reason, are new to the diabetes gang or whatever,
Yeah.
they should have that very, very consistently wherever you go.
You know, you just mentioned diabetes gang. I was gonna say the funny word that like within the diabetes community, whenever you see another diabetic person or someone who's
What did I say?
no, whoever.
Okay.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. You're about to be initiated.
Let's go.
Whenever you see someone else who has diabetes or knows about type 1 diabetes, you become diabetes.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can become my diabetes today.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
I have found the I guess the community is the right word. The diabetic community is very open with talking about it because it has become, with the age of the internet and all this, and obviously even what we're doing here.
Totally right now.
Everything's so there's so much information readily available, and you can connect with so many like-minded people and like-willed or like troubled people in that way, or
Absolutely.
like whatever situation you happen to be in, you can find someone in a similar one somewhere, some way, somehow. That I found a lot of people that I met with that are always like really pretty interlocked with that community, and there's a lot of things like we were talking earlier, kind of off camera, about like summer camps and things like that, and going into that. Was that like at a young age? Was that something you were down with, or did you have to kind of be like coaxed by like your parents or other people, like you should be having friends like this, or were you like, I want to go make diabetes now?
Oh, funny. That's a really interesting question because I resented having diabetes for the longest, and I think that almost continued even through high school. But
do you think that was an age thing? Do you think that's because you were young and kind of wanted to be with like your friends or stuff, or was that a kind of like I disliked what I had to do because of this?
I think it was a mix of both, but I definitely wanted to fit in. And you don't fit in when you get to eat snacks in class and no one else can have food out, right? Like that, you sticking out like a sore thumb. Like I got to keep a little Juicy Juice and what's it called? Some saltines in the classroom, even in grade school. So like everyone's like, oh, she gets to get special treatment.
Right.
And because of that, I started to hide my diabetes and became what's the word? Not the best diabetic. But after my
Diaworstic.
Diaworstic, that's a new one. I'll ask community about that one. Get back to you.
Please don't. I don't want to be.
Dr. T, making fun of diabetics, you guys. I'm just kidding. But I was gonna say that my endocrinologist, which is a diabetic doctor, he's the one who was like, you know what? Like, it doesn't seem like you're doing that great with your diabetes management. And this was, I think, when I was 16,
right.
And he suggested I go. He's like, it's super fun, like you'll have a great time. Went, and after seeing other people with similar, just with doing the same thing as I was doing, it normalized it, and I was able to feel comfortable. So like I came back super excited to tell everyone about all the fun I had at diabetes camp.
Right.
But yeah, but after that, I think that was like the turning point for like when I'm able to actually like talk about my diabetes. And I didn't feel so ashamed anymore because I saw like, oh, it's actually super normal. I saw 100 other kids at camp.
I was about to say, how many people were there?
So at this one there was, I think, I don't want to be wrong, but maybe 200 to even 300 kids.
Are they like all from like East Bay? We talking California? We talking Arizona? Like how far did this branch out?
So this one that I went to, most people are actually from California, but when I started becoming a counselor there later on after I turned 18.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? I just loved it so much I wanted to go back. Like, being a counselor was the closest thing I could go back to going to camp for.
Right.
But outside of that, like, I noticed even I have a family friend who flew in all the way from Virginia to come to it. She's also diabetic.
Oh.
Yeah, and she was diagnosed with it later in her teenage years. She was 17 when she came, and I think she stayed in contact with some of the girls that she met there too. So.
I was just about to say, is that like a thing? I feel like that would be a kind of cool thing. Like, this is my friend I met at diabetic camp.
Yeah.
Like, that would be kind of cool. Or like
Absolutely.
a very intimate. I feel like friends like that you are friends with so long, as long as you pass like a certain threshold, you were just at that threshold of friendship forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you still keep in contact with?
You know, funny enough, absolutely. That's probably the only reason why I still have my Facebook page open.
Okay, I was about to say this. I'm gonna feel really bad if she doesn't. I'm just gonna be like, "Wow, this would be such a cool thing." And
Right? No, definitely. Shout out to Facebook.
Good.
For keeping those connections, right? But
absolutely.
But being a counselor there at least gives me that like opportunity to do the same thing that someone else did for me. But yeah.
Right, that's cool, and it's nice to be able to know that there is a difference. It's not like different. Like, everyone has something wrong, so it's nice to know it's more open to like world knowledge now. A lot more people know about it. Maybe not to the extent of like insulin, beta cells, like glucose acceptance, of hyperglycemia and hypo, but like there's something with their blood sugar, and sometimes they need to eat. Sometimes they gotta take a drink of some orange juice or have a cracker or whatever to get some things down.
Totally.
And so I think that's cool now that I recently have found out about that whole community, and I was like, oh wow, this is so cool, because we learn about it all in school.
Yep.
And they teach us, all right, here's the telltale signs of a type 2 diabetic. If they have this, they're going to have potential like sensory neuropathies, and they're going to lose feeling in their hands and feet, and it's called the glove and stocking neuropathy. So they'll kind of like lose feelings up the hands a little bit, like little tingling sensations, or they'll have just less feeling in things, so they'll have like pressure ulcers. And so we get this, I don't know, like a cookie cutter notion of what like a diabetic is, even in school. So I come out and I'm like, I mean, I kind of know what they are, but like, I know what we're not supposed to do, and I know like the precautions for it, and what we're supposed to do. Like, oh yeah, I always have orange, blah blah blah. But it's nice to be able to talk to people. It's like very different, and you don't have to be I don't have to be like a hawk, because everyone's so knowledgeable about their own stuff now that I don't have to sit there and kind of, did you take your stuff? They'll usually tell me. I actually had a patient that I would work with that he had a hip monitor like that, and he would come in and be like, well, I'll be right back, gotta go to the bathroom real quick. And so we'd go, and he'd like, I don't know, get a snack or whatever you do, and he'd come back and be like, all right, we're good. He'd check in. I was like, anything I need to? I'm like, I don't, you're gonna know this better than I do at this point. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. But that was always a cool thing. So I really, really enjoyed him as a patient too, opening me up. He also talked about that of, maybe he didn't go to diabetic. I don't know if he went to a camp, but he was like, yeah, the community's really strong. And
Totally.
I think as an adult, I just felt like they had like things like that, but I didn't realize
like
for the kids they had
day
it.
activity too.
Yeah.
Like they have like daytime stuff.
Go hang out,
Yeah.
just have orange juice everywhere, I like that.
Orange juice, insulin on the cooler.
No, that's gold.
But
yeah, that's good.
It's cool to like normalize it, right? And I feel like I wish that I only became such a decent diabetic. I'm not gonna say good diabetic because everyone has bad
Good
days.
enough.
Even good enough diabetic because I'm comfortable for advocating for myself.
Right.
You know? So it's like it's cool that you can just dip out to the bathroom in the middle of your session, right?
Yeah.
To go take care of it.
And that also, he was comfortable enough to be like, I'm diabetic, like blood sugar. I've been able to get my blood sugar regulated all day. He'll come in and be like, it's been like my blood sugar, glucose has been up and down. Like today, it's gonna be a roller coaster. I don't know if I can do a bunch today. And I'll be like, that's fine. Like, as long as you're aware of that, and like we can know those things. So it's really cool that how much they can kind of just understand. And you guys are already very aware of what's going on. And you can feel it coming on. So even if it's like, well, it says this, but it's gonna be down or
Totally.
whatever it goes. So
I
what is like, so what's a daily process? What do you have to do? Explain the gadgets. Explain timing. How much do you have to do things? You know what? Because I mean, people just kind of walk. I remember when I walked into school, I was just kind of like, what? They just shoot themselves like every morning or something, or what? Like, what's the schedule behind that? What goes with that?
Totally. So, for, I guess, in a broader sense, like for most type 1 diabetics, you have to take 2 types of insulin. One that's short acting, so whenever you eat.
And long acting.
Yeah, and long acting.
I did know about this. I have read about this.
You read about it. It's a real thing.
Is it 2 hours prior to exercise is what work? I think an hour and a half to 2 hours prior to exercise is when they should do the long term, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
It's recommended. So when I used to have to wake up at 5 a.m. to go dive, I would wake up in the middle of the night to take the long acting and then go back to sleep for an hour or 2 and then go exercise 30 minutes later.
Okay.
So typically you do that long acting once a day, and then every time you eat or whenever you have high blood sugar is when you would take the short acting one. Since I'm on an insulin pump, I wake up in the morning. Oh, this is another part I'm going to throw in. You have to check your blood sugar, typically, if you don't wear a continuous glucose monitor. And I can show you guys that in a second. And the continuous glucose monitor at least tells me what my blood sugar is and replaces the finger prick. And so I will look at my blood sugar on, it actually basically Bluetooths to here, and it's telling me that I'm high from my really sweet cereal. It's all good though, no worries. So I would count the carbohydrates is how I actually determine how much insulin to give. Your doctor actually sets up a sliding scale for you on how much you're supposed to take. So if you eat 30 grams of carbs, then you should give this.
Counting calories is a whole nother measure.
Yeah, exactly. What's cool though is everything, once you get the hang of it, and every fast food place now has all the nutrition ingredients. If you've ever been curious about how much your latte with 2 pumps of syrup even cost, it's on Starbucks app, funny enough.
Whoa,
yeah.
There you go.
So I would wake up and count my carbs and give insulin and go about my day. What's cool about my insulin pump is that, my setup that I have with this Dexcom, it talks to each other. So it actually prevents me typically from being low. So I don't take a long-acting insulin. I just take a short-acting insulin because there's only 1 cartridge in here. So and it can't mix. So what's cool about the pump is that it gives you just a replacement of the long-acting by giving you short-acting consistently throughout the day. So as it notices if I'm going down lower, it basically cuts it off and lets my blood sugar rise before it even falls low.
Right, because what are the 2 levels? About 120 to 180?
Even tighter now, it's 80 to 180 is fair.
80 to 180, okay.
Yeah. Once, for me at least personally, I start to feel the symptoms of being low after being 70. Yikes. But sometimes I can even notice if it's taking a nosedive down. But what's cool about the Dexcom is that it's totally taking away that finger prick that I used to neglect.
And that was the big stigma behind it, was everybody would have, I don't want to prick my fingers, I got these things going around.
Yeah.
And then I have a bunch of scars over my face. I never liked it, so that was a big stigma that I knew about as well going into it.
And for me, I guess I would just go about my day normally. After that, it's if I'm eating a sandwich, just give insulin before. But my pump actually takes care of a lot of it. It'll actually give me more of that hourly rate if it notices I'm going high, or it'll automatically correct it.
Right.
But what's cool is it does all the math for me. I have to do nothing besides sometimes if I want to give a little more, I just give it a manual push.
Okay, you can get a pump in, hit me one time.
Absolutely.
I'm hitting some Frosted Flakes right now.
Exactly.
Hit me one time for the one time. Okay.
You know what? Might have to right now. I'm gonna just. It's telling me all these things that I already know. It actually says that, hey, we actually already have insulin working. You're good. Just relax. So I'm gonna relax and drink my water. But
I think we have a question coming in.
Oh, you guys been checking that?
I think we have one.
Yeah, Slick Fargo. Shout out to Slick Fargo. He's asked,
Returning.
how did you find out you were diabetic?
So, my mom actually noticed. I don't know. Moms are maybe a little hawkish, or at least mine is.
Yeah.
She noticed that I was super thirsty for like orange juice and like water. Like I was just drinking way more, and especially I was 9 years old and only weighed 68 pounds at first. Dropped 8 pounds like within a span of a month, and I was 60 pounds. And my mom's like, she's not okay. Dad's, of course, Dad was like, no, she's perfectly fine. Everyone's overreacting.
Right.
Um,
She's a kid.
Exactly. She's just a kid. She's just, maybe she had a little weight. It's all good. And I went to go take my yearly physical right before my birthday, and they make you pee in a cup, and they'll be like, okay, well, we'll tell you the results. And I guess because you can actually find sugar passing through in your urine.
Yeah.
So that's why if your doctor has you pee in a cup, that's one of the tests that they might run. And they called us late at night and said, hey, go to Children's Hospital of Oakland right now.
Get that insulin.
So then I went to the hospital after, I guess, my physician was already in contact with them and let them know that I was coming there, so to expect me.
Right.
And the rest of that was history. 1 week of staying in the hospital, but it's cool.
Did you end up, do you know if you developed like that fruity breath
Ooh,
with the extreme hyperglycemia?
I don't know if I did develop that, but my mom
Not like a good fruity, people.
No,
bad fruity.
it's a really bad fruity. I don't even know what to describe it as. Like, I wish mine was even fruity. It's not even a good type. It's just like feels stale.
I forget what they explained it in school what it smelled like, and I can't remember what they were explaining it as, but
It's not a pleasant one. It's like
Yes,
you
it's
can't
not
brush it out of your mouth either.
it's not like juicy fruit. That
No,
ain't there.
no. But what was your question right now?
Well, it was how did you find out? So
Ooh,
that was
yes.
kind of
So that was the main thing, but the frequent urination and the frequent water, like the frequent
telltale
drink,
signs that I'm sure any of your physicians or especially
Totally.
like pediatrician at that point would be like, ooh,
Absolutely. And
that's a thing.
I had a headache that wouldn't go away, and I wasn't one of those kids that like said that they had a headache so they could go to the health, like the nurse's office and get an ice pack.
I want to suck her like.
No, like I kept like I was serious with my mom's like, I have a headache, I can't do homework, and I just wanted to like take a nap. But
Right.
shout out to moms for knowing. Moms
Keeping
always
it
know
in.
best.
Yeah, had a wrist hanging down here. My dad was like, he's fine. But shouts to moms.
That's right.
So we have a science project today,
Yeah.
right?
Let me first. So right now, here I'm gonna take it off. What we're gonna do is every 10 days, because you're not supposed to keep things under your skin for a long time, whether it's
Infectious.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Especially administered at home.
Yes.
Right.
Sterile.
Right. So right now I am currently. I don't know if we can see this. I'm gonna show this old one I'm taking off, and it comes off kind of like a Band-Aid. It's just a really strong adhesive.
Yeah.
But take it off, and that is what we have. Is this little flap. So right there is like a little wire. Probably the camera won't be able to see it. I don't know, but can they see it? Maybe. It's a little wire, maybe the length of a fingernail, would you say? And it's, the way that it goes in is with a needle, and that little, I guess, what do we call this? Maybe a little, I'm not sure, catheter kind of thing. I don't know. I don't want to call
like
it
a syringe.
Yeah, like a syringe. Goes in with it, and the syringe comes out, retracts, and just leaves this guy, which is super flexible. So it doesn't hurt, honestly. I am someone who used to be really, really fearful of needles, so I would tell you that, oh yeah, it hurts. The first time I tried to do this by myself, way back in 2015, 14 maybe, I hit it into a muscle and it bled, and it still didn't hurt even at that point. So
Yeah, it was just
it's just
a mess.
It was a mess. A mess to do in the library at college.
Right.
Let's see. But, so, right now, thank you to Dr. T for being comfortable with helping me out
Oh yeah.
with this.
I've never actually seen. This is not like a normal thing that I would ever do. I don't administer insulin. I don't do any of that. So this is kind of a new experience for me. They teach you all about it. Here's where it goes. Here's where they're supposed to. So if you're like in a medical emergency and they're like, hey, I have my insulin. It's in my bag. I need to get it. And they're kind of just at a point to where they're just debilitated for whatever reason, either extreme, hyperglycemia or something's going on to where they can't get to it, and it's so we're taught to administer them in appropriate. Usually, you're supposed to go into muscles and stuff from the shots, from what I'm aware of, and this is actually not.
Exactly. This one's supposed to go into.
Is that because long-term, short-term differentiation, or is that just because I know when you put it into the muscle, it's supposed to pump and move around, and that helps it kind of get through the bloodstream. Do you know the reasoning behind why it's?
Yes. So actually, insulin is best absorbed into fat cells.
Okay.
So, and I'm not really sure of much science behind that, but I do know that insulin is best absorbed into the fat cells.
Okay.
And outside of that, too, it becomes uncomfortable after a certain time, especially the days that I do hit a muscle. Like, I can feel it. It's, like, super sore.
Yeah. Well, because you still have the little thing in there.
Exactly. So, like, the insulin pump I wear, if that little, like, it's a little a very thin tube.
Yeah.
You can
it's sometimes like a wire.
feel. Exactly. You can definitely feel it if you're moving around a lot.
Right.
But right now, I might use a few more alcohol swabs. Sorry, we're going to have to just collect some trash right there.
Oh, that's all good. Well, it's not my place.
Right. As sterile can be. And you know what, though? I know that even though you are not an endocrinologist, I can hold it up. This is actually something anyone can help me with. Anyone with just comfortability.
You got to stick someone with something, kind of, in a way.
Exactly. People can remain calm. I have my friends do this. Anyone who's willing to volunteer and help me out, oh yeah, you're hired.
I signed a waiver.
Exactly. I can't sue him. He can't sue me, and vice versa. But let me see. This is the little battery part that actually talks to my pump. So these two, it's like a little Bluetooth thing in here, and it has a little 3-month battery.
Like the activates.
Yeah. And then I think I tucked it away in a good spot. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I put it here.
Yeah.
Forgetful. High blood sugar. That's why the confusion, right?
I was trying to see with how you're responding to things. Is that I don't know if you weren't catching words because of that or what was going on. So I was trying to monitor. I was like, oh, I wonder if she's getting to the point and she's just gonna stop talking and be like, all right, we need to do this. This
is the moment where I need it. I'm gonna keep the insulin pump on for at least this little time because it's already having insulin working. But for me, one of the symptoms of high blood sugar is like a mental jumble.
Okay.
I feel confused. So for me, it's pretty dangerous to drive when I am having high blood sugar. Cognitive functioning it is jumbled. There's no much more to say that.
And so this is the thing.
Okay,
There's a little safety thing.
We're gonna switch to this camera here.
You take over.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it is soon maybe. Oh yeah.
Perfect. So there's this. That's what it looks like. It has two little wraps, I guess, that would unload, and that's the sticky part, the sensitive adhesive that comes on. I guess we
Safety?
Is this turned?
You can just bend it over. Perfect.
Aha.
Yep. And then we can just peel off these
It's a
two.
one-shot hit.
One-shot hit. So we're gonna wait to stick it on, and then you can press the orange button.
Oh yeah, don't hit the orange button first. It's gonna come right at me.
Don't hit the big orange button.
Okay.
But we're gonna try to put it into somewhere that wouldn't hurt, which is typically the fat. The muscles is what hurt.
So we're gonna come up. So you have a tricep that comes here. We're gonna go a little bit above that. That'll be right. Is that okay?
Love it.
Right there. Come in.
Oh, that was probably least painful one ever.
Really?
You know what?
Oh, I did it.
I know James back there. He's also done a pretty good job, but I didn't know I had a tricep back there. Didn't know I had any muscles, to be honest. Just thought it was skin and bones.
Now there was a question that Slick Fargo had. He asked.
That's perfect.
We did it.
Looking good?
Looking good.
We're in. Hit us again, Slick Fargo.
What are the cons of using the pump rather than the needle?
Cons. Oh, so what's cool, I used to use just the needle and had to go off. I went off the pump and went back to the needle because I was a diver. And you would have to be always connected to this because it's always giving you that little every 15 minutes is giving you that insulin.
Diver, how deep we talking?
Oh, I used to do like springboard diving.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like.
Scuba diving.
Yeah. I was like, okay, all right.
But yeah, so I would have to be disconnected from my pump for a long time if I did continue using the pump, and that wouldn't allow me to actually monitor my blood sugars pretty well. I could
Okay.
still wear this, however, at least with the shots, I could be disconnected from my pump. Kind of sucks sometimes to always be connected to this. This gets pulled on door handles, like
Yep.
no, maybe
AirPod life.
crazy. Exactly. No wires around here. Just sniff this. Oh, also another thing. It was in. I'm setting it up while we're talking, but in grade school, if we had a substitute teacher, it was always, or if I was in college too, people would think that I'm on my phone.
Oh yeah, they think
and
it's like all right.
Exactly.
You got your Zoom on in class.
Zoom, right?
Shouts to those of us that had Zooms because parents didn't
Zoom.
want to drop an iPhone or an iPod for him, man.
Yo, can't relate. Cannot relate.
Hang with me.
I was going to say someone called this a pager. I've never seen a pager.
I'm not
I'd
even
have to
mad. If you roll around and function with a pager, like I'm not even mad. Like that's cool. I support that.
Fair, committed. But I guess it brings some unwanted attention. Thanks. What sucks about this, though,
It's one-shot use,
what a big waste of plastic.
right?
Right? I know, and they're a company based in San Diego. Like, I thought they would know better.
Save the seagulls. Do better.
Thank you again. So I'm going to actually use this code to
Oh,
pair it.
wow.
Yeah, so
That's impressive.
So I'm basically writing in a
I
little
didn't know
four-digit code. Yeah, so I'm going to start sensor. I got a code. What's cool is, like, if you have this code, you don't have to calibrate it. You just wait the 2 hours for it to establish connection, and it will start telling your blood sugars again.
Oh, so you should make sure you already have like insulin going if you're getting up there before you change
Exactly.
this because it's going to take a little bit of time.
Totally.
Okay.
So you kind of want to know where you're at. Otherwise, like, I'll resort to a finger prick if it's really, like,
Yeah,
dire.
if you have to. So you still have like one of those around. They're pretty like easy to find.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. And you know what's so funny? I was just actually talking to him about this, was that they actually give you the meters for free, especially if you go to like diabetic like symposiums. Yeah, they'll give it to you for free.
Oh, I got to hit, man.
Oh, you got to. But
I got to go make me some diabetic buddy or diabuddies.
I'll take you to the symposium. There's one coming up in San Francisco.
Absolutely.
We'll follow up. And I was going diabetes. I'm glad that you latched onto that word. I was gonna say, but the problem is, or not the problem, the way that they make their money is with the subscription service of the strips, the test strips. That's the kicker, and they'll sell you even at like your local pharmacy. They'll sell you over the counter. They'll sell you the meters.
Oh, they'll sell you everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Facebook Marketplace.
Anywhere. Oh, king of Facebook Marketplace, y'all. That's another segment, though. But I was going to say the strips are behind the counter and requires a prescription. So that's a subscription service, but always have a meter. I have several around.
Interesting. Now, is there, from my understanding, you can't just keep insulin forever. It has a lifespan.
Totally.
So do you have like an emergency stock? Isn't the right word? Like an emergency shot.
So I have two things. I have these vials here.
Oh, that's why they're there.
Yeah, so I have this vial, and what's interesting about it is that once it's out of the refrigerator, everyone has their own opinion, but the one that I've gathered, especially from diabetic camp too, was that it has a 28-day life after this, as long as this doesn't get hot. So it can be in this room temperature, kind of toasty in here, but as long as it doesn't get hot and have
Right.
direct
Arizona's a
contact.
bad idea.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. But outside of that, I do have like 2 more vials in the fridge and pens. I don't know if you've ever seen those insulin pens that you change just the needle tops to.
Yeah. I have seen those.
Those ones actually have a much longer shelf life. And
Okay.
I think maybe it's because like they have to have the intention of like it travels everywhere with you.
Avoid freezing. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Super cool.
I feel like that would be like I wouldn't consider myself super anxious, but I know that would be like
Oh, absolutely.
I can't I always got to have 2 jars of peanut butter ready to go in storage. Like I can't go down to my last jar. Like I need to have.
Are you a Skippy
something in
person? A
there.
Jif person?
I'm a Skippy creamy.
Oh.
I like crunchy, but if I'm just gonna have like a PB&J, I don't like that texture sometimes. I want it smooth and just kind of molasses in my mouth.
I love it. Straight with a spoon or?
Sometimes, usually with Ritz.
Oh, okay. That's perfect
Absolutely.
salt.
I gained probably 15 pounds from my sophomore to junior year of high school just eating just Ritz rolls and peanut butter, scooping it out just like with a jar going before like double days and inside. Oh my gosh, I put on some weight.
You heard it
I was
here
an animal.
first. Dr. T is saying that the best way to gain. Just kidding, not meant.
It helps. Skippy.
Uh,
It's got protein. Just work off the sugar.
You know, in the meantime, I'm actually about to change my insulin pump site. I don't know if there's any other questions or if I completely answered Slick Fargo's question.
I think that was it. The pros and cons. I mean, I guess to like summarize that, pros and cons is pros of the pump is it's quick, it's there, it's continuous, and it's pretty like
I don't gotta
automatic
do the
and
work.
safe.
Yeah.
But cons are like it is Bluetooth, so I guess technology fails
Yeah, so
sometimes.
this part is Bluetooth, but this part isn't. So the part that actually gives me the medicine part, the
Right.
insulin, isn't Bluetooth, and I gotta be connected to it. I'm gonna just stand up right here in front of this camera, and I wear it on my leg, right, just like that. So, right onto the little fat part. I banged up my leg. I know, several bruises. I'm a klutz, but I do gotta be connected to it unless I'm in the shower or swimming. But it's like I can only be away from it for so long, so it's like I gotta still come back to it.
Right. Before you come back,
Sleep
especially
with
because
it.
it's the short acting. So I guess pros of the shot would be you could do long acting and kind
Yeah.
of be a little bit more away from it, but you also have to prick yourself, so it's kind of a
You gotta carry your medicine everywhere you go. I just wear this, so it's like I don't have to be.
I mean, you're technically carrying your medicine, but
true.
not as much.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one was the one that replaces the finger pricks.
Right. It's a sensor.
Yeah, the sensor. And so I get to wear that for 10 days since it's not actually giving me medicine. But this one on my leg, the one that delivers the insulin, the pump, I have to change that every 3 days.
Okay.
Well, I'm sometimes not the best with it because, hey, who hates to waste insulin? Insulin is actually cost an arm and a leg and...
Or
pardon-
3 and a kidney.
Exactly. And your firstborn child. That's what I was hearing for the next year's insurance update.
Unless you hit your deductible, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I was just telling you I got this one for free, so I felt like a winner. So I sometimes stretch it out to 4 days, but then you're risking like bad bruises.
Right.
Yeah. Chat doing okay? Slick, do you feel okay with my answer?
No, so we have just a couple comments in there. 50 was saying Skippy Creamy only.
Whoa.
That's
My
what he
man.
works with.
My man.
Then we have some people ask when Butters is going to be on. I said they're going to be able to have him on next week talk about his biceps. But my man, Slick Fargo, and then Dumai also said he needs to come on shirtless to show off his chest tab. We're going to have to check that out
I'm
next
in.
week, so we're going to have to see that.
Okay.
But Slick Fargo, he has a random question. I'm guessing this, maybe it's for both you guys. You guys have a skincare routine.
I'll take this one first. Mine will
Thank
be
you.
quick. I was recently the better half of me has recently introduced me that there is more than one kind of lotion. I didn't know there was a daytime and a nighttime lotion. I didn't know there was a face lotion. I was hitting the Lubriderm like
No.
all in one, going everywhere
He's
type of thing.
admitting this on camera, guys.
Yeah,
This is
I don't know
being
what
honest.
was going on. I didn't know there was like other things. So apparently, like the nighttime one has like things in it. I guess like I don't know. No? There's like a word, but it's like expensive. She's gonna kill me for
Niacinamide?
this.
I'm not sure.
No, it's not in the lotion, but it's like a nighttime something all. It's for like wrinkles.
And I feel like
She's gonna kill me. Chad, if someone's got that,
someone please find it.
hit me with it. But anyways, there's like wrinkle stuff, and you should wear. I was told I need to wear SPF 15 every day and my
Come
lotion. And I'm like,
on.
dude, I work a 9 to 5 inside of a clinic. Like, I don't need that.
Still.
That's what she's saying. I'm like, all right. So I have like a daytime and a nighttime lotion, and like body lotion that's different. And I'm getting into other things that I need to start. I have hand cream. I stand hand cream now, by the way. I love hand cream. Huge hand cream
Do you have a
fan.
favorite brand?
I had, what was the one I had before? I had one that I have at work, Kiehl's. Kiehl's is good.
Ooh,
She got me some. She got me some
pricey.
Kiehl's, and then she got me some Trader Joe one, which I have. So I have one at work, because I go hand sanny like, we're talking 20, 25 times a day minimum.
That's,
My hands are dry.
especially that little crevice in between your fingers.
Yeah,
your
these are
thumbs.
money makers. I have naturally soft hands, so I've never really needed to do that much lotion as, but like hand cream after doing all this hand sanitizer and hand washing all the time, which is good, you should, but hit you with that Kiehl's hand cream, sick.
Slick Fargo asked retinol.
Retinol, that's it.
That's
That's
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
Slick Fargo's the clutch one right now.
Shout
Yeah,
out to Slick Fargo.
retinol is that. I'm supposed to be getting that soon. I said that's too expensive. You don't waste that on me. But enough about me.
Yo,
I'm
okay.
sure this question
I
was
don't
for
know-
you. I answered that
don't
because
know
I thought
how
it was funny.
vulnerable I'm supposed to be here, but I got eczema, y'all, right on my eyes.
Eczema?
You know that vine? You know that? Yes, I got eczema.
You got eczema?
And I have to wash my face with baby shampoo. Funny enough, it's the most
I'll
gentle.
rock with it. That's like
it's-
rolling it with a pager. I
It's
rock
the
that. I
most
respect
gentle.
it.
I tried to do the expensive ones, but it just made it flare up worse. But baby shampoo really hits.
Amen.
The yellow Johnson and Johnson.
I was about to say the L'Oreal, the ones in the fish bottle.
Oh no! The yellow one, that's the Johnson and Johnson baby shampoo, the one that they haven't changed for like 20 years. That exact same one. I know Johnson Johnson's like a iffy topic, but yo, the baby shampoo, hey, it works.
50 did also ask, what does flicking the bottle or needle do?
So the thing is,
Air bubbles, right?
yeah, air bubbles. And it's gonna get stuck in the tubing, and then it's like, especially because this tubing's so small, I won't be able to like get the exact amount of insulin that I'm expecting if part of it's gonna have air bubbles. The problem is also is that when your medicine is like straight from the fridge, which it kind of is, it just don't know why, just more air bubbles in here. So I'm just like flicking it and like at least making them rise to the top. I don't know if you see there's some.
Because they can form on like the outside casing. Because that's
Yeah.
when the molecules of, just like when boiling water, anytime heating anything else up. So right now, if it's really cold, molecules are slowly moving around in there. When you speed up the molecules, sometimes they escape. That's why if you leave even standing water that's not in boiling, will just, puddles will disappear.
Wow.
So anytime molecules are moving, they kind of change heat, or they usually when they increase heat, they'll kind of escape. They'll kind of escape out to the sides, and that's why you kind of get that forming under the glasses. So you can see that when you pour water too inside your own glasses, they get like little bubbles on the outside. So that's what happens. That's why when you see water boil, that's what's happening, is they're actually just expediting that, and it's coming up to the top and coming out.
I have never known. I just knew that it worked.
There you go. Well, the flicking things, I think, that's just why the bubbles form. Because you're taking it from like cold to hot.
To hot. Okay.
Or warm-er. Not as
True.
cold. You're changing the temperature enough to where there's some kind of molecule escaping.
Sorry, I'm just throwing out expensive liquid
That's
onto you, just so
liquid
you
gold.
know. Just so you know, if it did hit you,
I'm going to
sorry.
sell these.
Oh, you might as well at this
Facebook
point.
Marketplace. $20.
Wait. So we're gonna make do with what we got, but what's cool is like this is replaceable. Even though this is a part of my pump, I just inject this into the cartridge and just fill it up.
I was just about to say, it's not good to have air in your bloodstream, people. So I was interested to see if you were putting it straight in here, if it
Nope.
was getting filled, what the kind of, how you would prevent that from being any oxygen in that, what was going to go on with it. But now that you
Sure.
inject it right in, that seems like a much smarter idea, and I'm glad I don't design those.
And what's cool is like it's like has a little system where it like traps it, so
It has the stop gaps for it,
Yep.
where it's a fluid, what's the term, like a fluid valve, as opposed to like an air valve that
exactly.
pop it out. Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm about to change that. But we can do this. I do this in the car. I do this anywhere that I can. So like this is like second nature for me. So it's not even something I have to stop talking about. But if you have a question while I'm doing it, let me know.
Yeah,
But
that's cool. I learned a bunch of things today too.
yeah.
So we can all learn. We can all learn to be better.
But I do have to say though, I was talking to him off camera about this crazy neck pain that I'm having and shoulder pain. And literally I'm starting to feel it right now as I'm moving. But I'm gonna save that for I guess a little later. I'm just excited for it. I just,
We can to explain
want
what's
you to-
going on. I mean, we can get to, if we don't have any questions, everything coming in, because we can get to that and kind of roll through, because that can kind of lead us
There's
into
actually
the next thing.
one more, another question.
Wonderful.
Vicky had asked.
I'm in.
Do you worry about the optics of pulling that out in public?
oh, absolutely. So you just gotta do it confidently.
Just like a needle.
Oh, yeah.
I get you.
what was it? I have done this in questionable places. Like I've done it on a playground when I took my
You got those alcohol strips with you.
which ones?
You got some alcohol strips with you, I hope.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oof.
I was gonna say, so at this point though, like, gotta do it confidently. No one's gonna pay my ambulance bill, so I gotta do it. If duty calls, we gotta go.
Yeah. Oof. Who cares what it looked like? I'm not in an ambulance. That's better.
Look, not in America at least. But I was going to say, you know.
What is this? What is this going on?
Oh, what's cool? So this is the part that I am changing that goes underneath my skin. This is a little protection. So I'm just unraveling it. I'm about to connect this to the cartridge to connect into my pump. But yeah, so what's cool is that this is the part that you actually must change every 3 days because you don't want it to get filled up too much.
Blocked.
Yeah. And then the insulin starts to like get like a little hard underneath your skin if it's been there for too long, so like makes it.
And then I'm assuming that's what happens in the pump. Because I was just about to say, I don't really know the physiology behind insulin hardening or anything like that. So
Totally.
that's all. I have no
I think
idea.
it's just like the fat cells get filled. You just get filled with insulin. I'm assuming, but
I'm gonna have to look that up of like
Please
the
tell
beta
us.
and stuff.
at this point, I just do and I don't question it.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's why there's people like you who are committed to the science.
That is. My mentor in that got me into physical therapy was actually, he was a guy who just knows a lot. And he loves talking to people about things that he knows, but he knows so much that he just talks. And so I just learned to not stop him and just be like, I'm just gonna, whatever I could pick up off of him, that's cool.
I'm just
And
letting
I'll
him
take
brain
it. I
dump.
learned so much about everything, a bunch of useless information in my head. Well, maybe not useless. I could talk to whoever I want about whatever pops up. But yeah, I learned from a young age to just kind of accept if people give you information, like, take it.
Totally.
Don't give away free information without expecting someone to take it.
Right now I'm taking this one and putting in there. It says remove and install a filled one. Alright, I can follow directions. And you just click it in. What's so funny is that even though this is disposable, it looks like it really is part of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess now it looks like a battery now that it kind of pulls out, but
Yeah, here I can actually.
okay.
It's cool. Touchscreen also. I don't know whose pager is touchscreen. Yeah.
So is there active insulin in here?
Yep. There's insulin in
Okay,
there.
so I can even see little bubbles. Oh.
Totally.
Have you ever kept one of these to see how long it takes to get hard, or is it like,
I don't
is that
know.
taboo?
I'm not sure if it's taboo. I just get
Is
rid of it.
are my diabetes gonna be mad at me for that, or?
Oh, you can keep it if you like. I just don't
No,
know.
I'm not keeping it, but
I don't know if the insulin gets actually hard or if it's just like
A process of
repeatedly
it.
putting it, like insulin going into that same spot.
it would
It's like,
scar tissue over it. There would be,
scar tissue.
yeah, it would go over the spot. That's why you shouldn't really prick the same exact spot. That's why everyone's like, oh, why can't you just stick it in the same spot every time instead of having a bunch of things?
Totally.
I know I mocked that person. They just didn't know, but.
Totally.
That's why you have to stick it in not the same exact place every time, because otherwise it's like a callus. It'll just get deeper and deeper and deeper, and then eventually you're not going to get deep enough to where you can get the insulin. But
I was gonna say as a practicing doctor of physical therapy.
yes,
I was gonna say, is there ever a time where you have to give any type of injection? Are you administering cortisol shots? Like, I'm just curious.
no, I am not giving any definitely not any cortisol. I could do an adrenaline. I don't know about license. License is the right word. I know how to administer emergency medications, like
Okay.
adrenaline pump or an EpiPen or emergency insulin. Like, I know where to go. I know what to do. I technically have learned, which I should never do, and I hope I never have to, have learned how to do like a tracheotomy.
Oh no.
Yeah,
That's
it's right
scary.
here. Right here. There's a little spot right here. Right under the Adam's apple. You can feel a little soft spot coming in. You can poke it in. But
Cool.
yeah, so I should never have to give any of that unless it's under emergency, and which we probably got bigger problems.
Oh no. Okay. Hopefully not in your clinic at least.
No.
But I guess while this is wrapping up, I mean, I'm currently just filling this tubing. I was gonna say, is it cool if we address my pain in
Absolutely.
my shoulder?
We've got some stuff.
Yay! Is that cool?
Oh, you haven't put it in yet?
No.
Oh, no,
But
keep going.
are you sure?
Keep going, keep going.
I'm almost done.
But get your
But-
shoulder first.
Oh, get my shoulder first.
Yeah.
Should I do my
ask
shoulder?
a question.
Oh yeah. So let me just re-explain it, because you got to hear what's going on.
Talk to me.
During COVID, especially sitting at the computer for a long time, whether it was work from home, doing college online classes, I need water, my blood sugar's high. Water tastes so good when your blood sugar's high. It doesn't taste as good when it's normal, but oh boy, does it taste good right now. Sitting at the desk, especially, and I'm mostly right hand dominant, I could never figure a position for my keyboard to feel comfortable, and eventually just either with writing too, I started to get this shooting pain from like the back of like top of my neck to my shoulder. And sometimes I find it just randomly flaring up. Like recently I've been working on a project on the computer and I found it just being this fiery pain that I can't handle, and I think that covered it how I explained it to you. Do you have some thoughts for me?
So, we talked this for like 30 seconds off, and I was like, I know exactly what it is. Very
Genius.
common now for things that even I see is, especially in our demographics in our area that we're at, tech jobs, work from home, students from home, that's a lot of what's going on right now. And so a lot of people are getting kind of postural deformities, may not be the right word, but postural injuries in a way. But they're not always what you think. So there's a couple different postural injuries that can happen. There's a postural injury of you being hunched over all day, in which you could develop something called shoulder impingement syndrome, which I can go over in a bit. But there's also like muscle strain type things, or I like to refer to them as just muscles getting angry from either being on stretch too long or on strain too long. So stretch, obviously longer. On strain too long if you're just using something constantly. And so why don't you go ahead and turn that way?
Okay.
And I'm going to show the chat. I know exactly where it is. I'll hit it on this. This is the number of the pokes I'm going to hit. I'm just going to keep poking you. You can let me know when it happens, okay? Maybe here.
Oh, a little bit, but not really. That one.
Yes. So you have a muscle that connects your shoulder blade up to your neck. It's called your levator scapulae. Levator because think like an elevator. So
Okay.
it elevates your scapula. So
Scapula is like the.
scapula is your shoulder blade.
Okay.
Okay. It connects to the top of it and it connects all the way to your neck. What happens is a lot of people are doing the hunched over. It's called forward head syndrome. So you have your arms round over like this and your hands are kind of turned in. Shoulders are rounded and your head's forward like this because you're looking up. So your capital extensors, so you have your cervical, which is your neck, and you have your capital, which is like your head. So your capital extensors, because my neck's up, and then my cervical flexors, because my head's coming down, are tight and tight. So it's called a forward cross syndrome. So that's
it
tight.
looks so bad when you over exaggerated it right now.
That's
too.
tight and that's tight. But also that's weak and that's weak on stretch. Okay, because I'm always looking up. These cranial flexors that come down are weak because they're always on stretch. Okay, so that's why a lot of people get these headaches just right at the base of their skulls. Like, I don't understand why I have this. A lot of the time, that's because either your upper trap is on a lot of strain, or your levator trap is on a lot of strain because it's always stretched out, or because your capital extensors are always really tight. So it's just like a really tight muscle that you can't stretch out. Your particular case is strain. Okay, because you're probably at a computer and you're trying to be self-conscious about your posture already. I'm assuming. I don't know. We have not talked this far. But what happens is a lot of time if you're hunched over and you're aware of it, you start pulling it back and you start being like, oh, I got to sit up straight, and you do this. Problem now, my shoulders are up. Now I'm here. Okay, so instead of being here
Dr.
and
T
forward,
reading-
that's fine.
Reading me to filth right now.
Now you say, oh, I need to be more aware of my posture, so I do this, and my shoulders are up. Problem is, I've just elevated my scapula. So your levator scapulae is on tight the whole time, especially if this is your mouse hand. You're going to be here. Now, I went from here to hear why one side hurts. Okay, if that's your mouse hand, that's the one you're going to be using. Okay, and so you just keep it here and keep it up. And I don't know if you've ever been sitting in like a really tense situation or argument, and you just sit there and you take a deep breath and you realize how much you're holding up your body. That's what's happening. And so you're sitting there and tight, and so it's just strained and it's lit up basically, and you've been using it too long and you have overstressed it.
Oh no.
And so you just gotta chill.
Chill. Okay.
You gotta stretch it. There's a couple stretches you could do for it, where you're gonna be like sitting on your arms so that your arms kind of down, because it does connect to your shoulder blade.
Right
so
now,
it keeps your shoulder blade down. Okay, and then you want to turn away, and then you want to look towards the opposite armpit.
Oh wow.
And that's all you need. A little bit more forward, a little bit more down.
So.
Turn towards your armpit, so not all the way, but turn, and then kind of look down, like I'm looking almost at my elbow where it's resting. More over here. There we go.
Ooh, that just hit us interesting spot.
And so that specific muscle gets really tight on people. That's where a lot of people get these trigger points, quote unquote, is if they like, oh yeah, you can poke it right there, because that's where it connects to the shoulder blade. So poking right on that spot, you're poking at basically the origin of this muscle, and when you poke on something, it shortens it, so it pulls even more at the base of your skull, and it almost feels like a spider web effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I push down on that, it feels like it hits a bunch of things. That's because if there is scar tissue buildup, because it is tight or whatever. Scar tissue, I know I've said that word a couple times. Scar tissue is like random collagen fibers that build up. Collagen is like not really muscle tissue, but it's connective tissue in a way that just attach to areas and start building up randomly amongst the body of areas of some kind of trauma or pain or something. Your body's like, hey, this hurts, scar tissue, let's hold that thing down, and it's designed to keep it there. So when you push down on it, any scar tissue that's attached to it is going to pull everything else with it.
Oh wow.
And so you can kind of get like a spider web effect if you just put your thumb straight down on it. It's a cascade, and everything kind of just falls into it.
Wow. It just felt like I had to like forcibly like
Right.
react to it. Like I didn't want to react like
You
that.
pull away from it and you try to, anyways. So that's what's going on with that, guaranteed.
Oh nuts.
No-
Oh, I just ripped
no
this
problem
off like a
with it.
sticker, but I don't know if you saw that. Just like ripped it out, but that's the only thing that's gonna be left. I know this is like a scary little needle, but
You needle yourself up.
oh,
and that's-
absolutely. This one, pro. And so I just tried.
Good show the camera.
Okay, let me see that. But yeah, so I'm gonna just didn't even feel it. But I like to squish the fat, so I
Yeah, you
like-
know that you're getting fat as opposed to muscle.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's all there. Anything else that?
I think Slick Fargo has something else here.
That's like Fargo. Yeah, he's asking, is an ergonomic chair worth it? It costs so much.
I have very mixed opinions about this, because depending on what you're getting it there for, a lot of the times you can have ergonomic things fixed by yourself by kind of being more aware of it. Hence now, instead of what you were trying to fix as like, oh, I need to be more proper and up, instead of coming up, you just need to like chill and sit up straight more. Like a lumbar support for you might be a little bit better, because
That's
it's
the
more
lower
like
part?
so it's a little back pillow. And what it does is you don't even necessarily, when I recommend it to patients, I tell them not even to, you don't have to sit here and like lean up against it. It's more for like you're sitting up straight, and then when you start to slouch, you'll feel it against your back, and you're like, oh, I gotta come on.
It's like a
And
slight
so it's
reminder.
one of those, yeah, so it's like a little tap reminder. Ergonomic chairs, I just don't like spending that amount of money. I don't like telling patients to spend that amount of money.
An honest
Um,
man, do you hear this?
I
Doctor
don't.
telling you not to buy something. Just
You would be much better off. They have a lot of online tools of like what's a proper ergonomic setup. You can find those else. I don't have those off the top of my head. I'm not an ergonomic specialist, but they do have like, it should be 42 inches away from you, and it should be at this angle looking straight. I would much prefer a patient at least attempt to try to fix those. So try to get a chair that rises more, or try to get, put a pillow on your chair so that you're up higher, so you're not looking up at your screen or whatever, or put a pillow behind your back so it can remind you to kind of sit up more straight. You don't have to be like all the way up, but just get it to remind you to, oh, I'm not going to do this all day. Or, get those little reminders. Even like, I've seen people get figure 8 braces for their shoulders. So figure 8 brace is, it actually goes straight down your spine, and it's 2 like backpack straps that come around here, that come around your shoulders, and it kind of, you can tighten it up in the back, and it pulls you back like this. And so I've seen people just get those. Those are like less than $20 on Amazon. Piece of cake to get it. It's for like postural adjustments. I would much prefer doing that,
Before
trying that using a random pillow in the house, and then trying to get try to put your computer onto something to elevate it, or try to sit on something so that you can get higher. I would much prefer those as opposed to an ergonomic chair. They're cushy, and if you can afford it, like, go nuts. But I would not recommend it to my average patient at all. So,
I totally agree.
ergonomic mouse, cool, as long as
Is
it
a
sits to
mouse
the
that's
side.
ergonomic?
Yeah, so ergonomic mice, I guess. Mouses. I don't know what a plural for that is, but instead of having it flat like this, because this kind of puts you. This is not neutral. This is technically like a neutral hand positioning. So they have ones like this. Problem I see with a lot of those is they have like the thumb ball, and that's not good for you. Not for an extended amount of time. So they have the ones that they have the clickers. As long as it's like a sideways clicker and this just has like a thumb rest, don't use the ball. Keep it on the side so that your hand's like this. And you can kind of move it side to side. That'll help out with some of the carpal tunnel. If you're starting to get that, it's not going to be a one-stop shop, but it'll help. But yeah, I would look for much other things instead of like I'm sure upwards of $1,000 chairs for those things.
Starting with stuff at home is like the first step.
Yes, try to change easy things before you buy like a really expensive thing.
Fair. I realized that I bogarted the time today with diabetes.
No, I loved it.
But you know what? He's here every week with physical therapy. Every Monday?
Every Monday. Even if you guys have questions, go to the Instagram. If James can put those up eventually, I think they've been going up. Find those. Even DM us, and we'll like pull them up and say, hey, we'll answer these, or we'll let you know, like, hey, it'll be first one up, second, whatever. DM all of us, and we'll get that stuff in, and you can gladly. We like responding to you guys. We come up with some things on our own, but you know, if you guys got questions, it usually makes it more fun, a lot more free flowing of like, oh, like actually. So I would love that a lot better. But thanks for coming. Appreciate
you
it.
for having me.
I learned a lot today, actually. I didn't know whether I would, but I did. I learned a lot today. I would not ashamed to admit it. Never be ashamed to say you don't know.
He's an honorary Diet Buddy today.
Diet Buddy.
Thank you guys
Rolling
also
strong.
for being so patient. Want to take it out?
All right.
Just cheers.
Thanks for having us. We'll see you next time on Pain or Gain.
Sweet.